I must go to where the gospel has not been preached, to sow the seed of the gospel, where others can come after I've discovered these roads. And through this desert, this Kalahari desert, although it's been very difficult, and we're all kind of thirsty and feel like we're about to die practically, but yes, there's this woman who seems to know where she's going. But she speaks with a funny way. She said, she has these clicking sounds. It's like, huh? What are you talking about? But water kind of thing? And so she brings them. And as she's going, is she for real or is she a fake one? Just like the other one. I remember the other one, they took us to this place that had like water, but it was like with rhino dung, 大便. It's like, how can you eat? How can you drink this stuff? How can you drink this stuff? But now this woman seems to know her way, and she's going here and there, and they follow her, and she's going and going. And soon, it seems like the oxen are beginning to have extra energy, and they're lunging forward as if they sense something. Maybe they smell something. And sure enough, there seems to be a glimmer of water over there. And there is water. Oh, it's beautiful. So let's go over there. And there's water. Oh, let me drink the water. And so, sure enough, the deer, the gemsbok, the giraffes are coming. Oh, it's beautiful. Praise the Lord. Thank God that you brought us to this water place. It's so good that we have water, finally. I got to get to know these people. And all these bushmen of the Kalahari have now appeared. And wow, they're interesting people. They walk in single file. They don't have any dresses on. They just kind of walk naked kind of thing. And it's like, wow. But they're kind of scary sometimes. They just come at you suddenly, and they just kind of put their face in your face. And so one night, he was kind of like sleeping and taking a rest, just taking a rest there. And then in the middle of the night, he kind of sees something over him, like a shadow or something. And then he, what's going on? This is Chief that's watching over him. And staring at him. And I said, well, what do you want? But the chief was very kind, actually. So he sat down, and he said, let me tell you my story. And so the chief sat down and then told his whole story, his whole life story, told about all the things that he had done in his life. And just on and on and on, all night he began to tell this story. And David Livingstone was getting a little tired, a little sleepy, but he wanted to be polite, so he kept listening to this story. And then finally, in the break of dawn, the chief said to him, okay, now your turn. You can tell me your story. And so David Livingstone was so tired all night long, he had not slept at all, and now there's a chance to tell his story. So he told him about the story of Jesus, but by that time he was pretty tired. But he watched around the people, and he recognized that these people had unusual kind of habits. Some of them were kind of standing like this all the time. Not sure what they were doing, but I guess they were acting like they were deer. When you know how deer, how when they see you, they sort of freeze, and they make no movement, kind of like that. And they're very primitive, so trying to get fire is very difficult. They would take these twigs, and they would take the twig out, and they would do this kind of thing, and then there's a little bit of a spark, and then blow it to get start a fire, because there's no other way to start a fire, of course. But the women especially love to sing and dance. The men too, but especially the women, sing and dance. And their grandfathers everywhere, the grandfathers love to play with their kids too, just like we would like to play with our kids. And they're very artistic. They would make beads out of, what do you think these are? These are actually ostrich egg shells. The ostrich egg is huge. The ostrich is very tall. and the eggs are huge. And the egg shell can be made into many things that are very ornamental, very pretty when they chip them up. Little children, when they are playing there, they have lots of places to play, right? Lots of desert to play with. And they learn very early on to do the bow and arrow. And they would do that a lot of times with the bow and arrow. But one other thing that they learned was just amazing. They would teach the kids when they're really small to go down the ground and guess what? They're sniffing. If you teach them when they're really young, when they're really small, they can begin to smell water. It's amazing. They can smell water. They can know where water is. Water, of course, has no smell, but water with other things, with plants or something, gives off a little smell that you could actually smell miles away. And they had learned from early childhood to tune their noses to smell even water. Isn't that amazing? Suddenly one day, Dr. Livingstone looked around. He says, something funny. I'm missing 2 natives. 2 people are gone. Where are they? And wait. Where's my trusty medicine box? Where's that box? Where's it gone to? Oh, it turns out that there were 2 natives who had just very, very sneaky way that crept out of the place, and they took the medicine box and they rushed down to the mission station and said to the mission station people, see, Dr. Livingstone is dead. He's dead. I saw him. He died. And so this is his bag. And now pay me for the work that I did. Now, nobody actually quite believed them, but they didn't know what to believe. So is Dr. Livingstone dead? Did he actually die? Where is Dr. Livingstone? Where is Dr. Livingstone? So all of England, all of Scotland, all of America began to have these newspaper articles. Where is Dr. Livingstone? Is he dead? Is he captured? Is he lost? And so finally, the New York Herald, which was the big newspaper at the time, sent the famous Henry Stanley, a journalist who had written a lot about the Civil War and many things that had happened. And they said, you go. With lots and lots of money, they paid him. And he brought 200 people to go to find Dr. Livingstone. Such was the extent of Dr. Livingstone's fame. They had to find him. Where is Dr. Livingstone? And so with 200 people, he marched into the mountains, and he recorded that he went hundreds of miles, hundreds of hills, forests and jungles, and scorched temperatures, and scorched salt plains that he had to go through. So difficult, and lots of difficulties, lots of dangers. But one day, climbing over a hill, he saw a village down there, the smoke of the village coming out. And he said, that could be. I've heard a rumor that Dr. Livingstone is down there. Let's see. There's a person down there that looks like it could be Dr. Livingstone. He's got his famous cap on. It could be Dr. Livingstone. He's a lot older now. But I want to rush down there and hug him, give him a good old American embrace. But wait, he's English. He's very reserved. Probably not a good idea to go down and do that. So maybe I should go down just like a proper Englishman would be, actually Scots. Let me go down there and see him. And when he got up to the great Dr. Livingstone, he was like so awed by him that he didn't know what to say. And so he said, Dr. Livingstone, I presume, which became one of the most famous phrases in all of the 19th century. Dr. Livingstone, I presume. Dr. Livingstone, I presume. And Dr. Livingstone smiled and says, it is he. I am Dr. Livingstone. So here was this Scotsman, Dr. Livingstone. Here was this American, Stanley. And behind them were all Arabs and Africans. And they were all there. And they praised God that we could meet here in the darkest of Africa and find the great Dr. Livingstone after all. And so they sat down, and Dr. Livingstone was so excited. Show me what you have, show me how you have. And of course, Stanley had brought clothes, brought food. Oh, such good food. He hasn't had such food for a long, long time. And medicines to bring over to help Dr. Livingstone in his work. And he said, wait, I have this bag. Even better, I have lots of things in this bag. You see? Here are... Wait, what's that? What's that? Oh, what's that over there? Whew. Were there snakes? Yeah. But look, what is this? These are letters. Letters from my children. Wow. Agnes is married. I didn't know that. This mail is 1 year old. This mail never reached me. Oh. And he began to have a tear in his eye. My daughter Agnes got married. I didn't even know that. Wow. What about other children? Oh, wow. And then the newspapers. What about the newspapers? What do you have? What do you have? What do you have? A year-old newspapers. Oh, yeah. So finally, there's a railroad between the East Coast, between New York and California. Wow. Railroads built by Chinese. Wow. Amazing. Oh, wow. He's so happy. And he started talking all night with Stanley. And they just chatted and chatted and chatted. In fact, Stanley decided to stay for 4 months with Dr. Livingstone because he was so touched by him. And he wrote in his book, this was the most amazing person I've ever seen. He was so true, so noble, such a wonderful example of Christ. He was like Christ come to earth. He was so kind to his people. In fact, I was in awe of him. I just sat there, talk with him, and finally I decided that I would change my life too. I would become a Christian too. And so Stanley went back with the message that in Africa, there are lots and lots of people who don't know the Lord and need to know the Lord. And he said, Dr. Livingstone told me the message, stop the slave trade. Stop the slave trade. It is awful. And during that time, after Stanley left, Dr. Livingstone began to work among some of the Arab slave traders, and began to tell them about Jesus. Jesus, Isa, your prophet too. You respect him. Jesus said, love your enemies. That's not a way to love your enemies. You should change your ways. Believe in Isa. Believe in Jesus.